Marketing. Very hello.
Hi.
And welcome to the Canadian Bro Show. Thanks for joining us again. My name is Paul Bale. For those that haven't joined our show, I'm the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show and the handsome, charismatic, and extremely prolific and talented, extraordinary human being, and a shameless promoter of himself relentlessly, and no matter what anybody else could ever tell him. To my left and your right is Mr. Johnny Leister, the co-host of the most of the Canadian Bro Show here at the YouTube podcast. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Johnny is filming from his own secret private studio in downtown Vancouver. We're not going to share anymore. I hope the service is still good. No cocktails, I understand.
No.
And nothing else.
Bar.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't that be nice to have your own bar in your own studio?
Oh, boy.
Johnny's got his own studio in the downtown core, and it's incredible, and we film this show every Sunday. And Johnny, how are things in Vancouver? How are you doing?
Things are great. It's beautiful. It's sunny. Spring is here. And how are things in Kelowna?
Oh, exactly the same. And I'm so happy, man. I'm really looking forward to some organic vitamin D. I've done 2 workouts, 2 10K bike rides in the morning, last 48 hours, and I am so excited to have warmth, sunshine and warmth. And it's still early. I mean, we're talking 15, 16, 17 degrees tomorrow. I'm going to head over to my mom's, and we got a townhouse in Central Kelowna, and I'm going to power wash it and clean it up for her and get it ready for spring so she can enjoy it. And because she's got a patio in the front and a patio in the back, and then come back, and I've been working on my house, the deck, the front yard, landscaping, painting, the roof, the windows.
Is there anything you can't do, Paul Bale?
Everything I can't do, yes, there is, Johnny, and there's quite a bit, actually.
Hard to believe.
Thank you for that. Anything that I can't do, I hire.
Okay, wise man.
Yes, and especially after all the things that I thought I could do that I realized I can't do and that I shouldn't do, it's best that I find somebody that can do it a lot better than I can for half the effort, and find somebody that's willing to work on a good dime, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Because we're fiscally responsible in the Bale family. You know what I'm saying?
Very good. I wonder what that's like.
It's married to an Italian. I'll leave it at that. But everybody, welcome to the Canadian Bro Show. We've done over 130 videos, and Johnny and I do all things Canadian with Pauly and Johnny, and we like to do a pop culture, Canadian pop culture, and a variety of fringe interests, and that's expanding and growing it all the time. Tonight, we're going back to our one of our favorite things we've done, and we've probably done a dozen of these episodes, and this is episode 69, I believe.
The Canadian Siskel and Ebert.
It is the Canadian Siskel and Ebert, except it's Pauly and Johnny Cinema Flicks. And we still haven't come up with the name with it, but we do have a new thumbnail, which we're going to be posting. And today, we're just sort of on the success of our alien attacks.
Thank you so much.
Video. Thank you all.
I think it's our most views in the shortest amount of time since we started doing it.
Yeah, I think you're right, Johnny. I think you're right. And we talked about it, and we really enjoyed it, and it was great synergy. And, of course, it's on the ticker below, which is playing right now. We have almost 200 views. Episode 68, that's favorite alien invasion movies. It's a family favorite. And, of course, we're working on... coming soon is the episode we're talking about, episode 70, which is Disaster Tax, our favorite global disaster movies. Not that Johnny and I celebrate global...
We just like good movies.
We do like good movies. We love action movies. We're
not into Schadenfreude. She's a good word.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really a fun genre because Johnny and I have been around for a long time. And I met Johnny 53 years ago in Kitsilano in like 1972. And we've always been, like many of us in the 60s and 70s and 80s, it was all about the library. It was all comic books. It was all collecting cards, going to the movies. Yeah, Slurpees, and doing geeky things. And we were we were really good at being geeks.
Mm.
And of course we were active, and here we are all these years later, and we're doing it again. So we want to talk about our favorite natural disasters. Now, Johnny, to you, I could go on, but no, yeah, exactly. What to you does a disaster movie emulate in your mind's eye? And would that be the same as anybody else, or would you agree that there are many different types?
Yeah.
Of disaster films?
Well, disaster film can be something that a disaster that was created by man, by science. It can be like a natural disaster. It can be animals rising
Scientific disaster?
Exactly. There's all kinds of subgenres, but I would just define a disaster movie as a situation that has a huge impact on a large number of people. And there's, the main characters are plucky heroes who are trying to survive. And I think that's something that we can all relate to. And we all sort of wonder, like, what would we do? What would we do if there was an earthquake? What would we do if we were on a ship that turned upside down? Would we panic? Would we rise to the occasion? Would we have an accident? We never really know what we're capable of until we cross that bridge. We like to think, I'm going to run into that burning school bus and save the children. We like to think I'm going to do that. But not all of us do. Some of us are afraid. And so when we watch these movies, it's in ways kind of educational, because we are giving us ideas if such an occurrence were to actually happen.
Yes. Well, wonderfully said. Great way to lead into the episode for sure. And so, but how did it affect you when you were a young man, when we met in the late 60s, early 70s in Kitsilano? What was it about the disaster movie, aside from being absolutely horrific and all the different types of disasters that can happen and do happen? What was the thing that do you remember your earliest sort of film where you just went, my God, that was unbelievable?
Well, I think part of it is just sort of the spectacle. Looking at all the amazing special effects.
Especially at the Stanley Theatre or some of the better theaters in Vancouver, the Vogue.
And, we grew up with a lot of gimmicks. We had the old school 3D with the red and green glasses. There was a Sense-Around and Smell-O-Vision. They're all because you remember with the scratch and sniff cards. Exactly.
That doesn't smell like pizza.
Yeah, I think Pollyanna was the smell and sniff movie. Because television, the movie theater owners were afraid and studios were afraid that television, because more and more people are staying home and fewer people are going to movies, so they're coming up with all these gimmicks. Yeah. But in terms of story, I like a story where you sort of take an average character who is maybe sort of a desk-bound paper pusher, and suddenly he's in a life and death situation where he's got to step up to the plate. And I think there's just something very inspiring about that. And why I like those kinds of movies.
I do too, and I think it's a really good point. Unfortunately, not all disaster movies really focus on character development. However, the real disaster movies that are turned into documentaries and happened in real life time recently still haunt us to this day. And imagining ourselves to be in a situation like that really, I think for me, captivates, 9/11, lying in bed with my wife and watching television on the first plane, hitting, and then watching the second one. I've never seen a horror movie like that in my entire life.
And it puts our lives in perspective. Suddenly our problems that feel like the end of the world are suddenly not so insurmountable, because we look at what other people go through and we think, well, gosh, there but for the grace of God go I.
Right.
So I think when we look at these movies, we appreciate our lives a little bit more, and maybe not whine and groan so much about things that are probably pretty trivial.
Yeah, and this is why the Canadian Bro Show brings such incredible free content. The Canadian Bro Show podcast is a growing podcast, and Johnny and I have been at this with the help of our other co-host of the most, who is vacationing in Kelowna. Actually, is heading back, I think, to Alberta. He's been in Kelowna for the Easter weekend for a little golf holiday. Trent Rowley had a great time, and shout out to Trent and his wife and their friends, and they're heading back. And hopefully, I'll see him in June. But in the meantime, Johnny, would you like to start off with the very first? Your favorite disaster film, maybe your first one? I don't know. You tell us.
Well, in 1974, this would be a good segue. My mom and dad took me to see Earthquake, directed and produced by Mark Robson, starring Charlton Heston. Seemed like he was in every movie that came out of the 1970s.
Yeah,
And
and the 60s, and the 60s.
Yeah. The plot concerns the struggle for survival after a catastrophic earthquake destroys most of Los Angeles. Of course, you can't have a disaster movie without George Kennedy. That would be like having a Die Hard movie without Bruce Willis. George Kennedy was like...
For those that know, George Kennedy was in every disaster
he was.
and war film and thriller.
Affable, whimsical. He was kind of the comic relief.
Yeah, he was good though, man. He's in one of my first
One of the most legendary Canadians of all time is in this movie, Mr. Lorne Greene, who we know as Paul Cartwright from Bonanza, Genevieve Bougère, Richard Roundtree, a.k.a. Shaft.
She was good, Genevieve.
And the others. And this movie was filmed in Sensurround, which I think they cranked up the speakers all the way. So when you sat in the theater, I remember the seats were shaking.
Our seats, they were the little vibrating seats, the little cheap, bouncy seats.
Probably ruined some people's backs.
Oh, no, it was actually quite a nice ride, bro. I'm telling you, they were probably the second best seats. Hollywood had really good seats that did that as well, and the planetarium in Kids Point, they had those really amazing seats. We just lie back and think you're in space.
The Pink Floyd laser light show.
Oh yeah.
So what's your first choice?
Well, I mean, I always want to go back to my growth and growing up to when I was a kid and I just saw these films, and usually in the late 60s, early 70s, sometimes a couple years later, because I would never see them in the film because, unless my mom only took me, the only adult films, if you call James Bond an adult film, she would take me to the Varsity Grill. We lived in 10th and Sassamat in Point Grey there. And we went to the Chinese, the famous Chinese restaurant, and then went to the movie after, and the Varsity Grill, and then we'd see James Bond, Sean Connery in 1969,
There were so many nice little theaters in Vancouver.
Oh man, and the Dunbar was close by, right. And the Hollywood on Broadway, which is open again, and the triplexes. Yeah. So I would have to say that one of my first earliest ones would have to be one of these sort of Hollywood blockbuster disaster films. And they rarely got them right because they had to be big budget. You had to get the big stars, and you had to have the big action. And for me, one of the most frightening films that I've ever seen growing up is the Poseidon Adventure in 1972. And I actually went to the theater. I got my mom didn't want to see it, so she got, I think, her boyfriend of the moment or a friend of hers who loved movies, and we saw a bunch together. Pierre, I think about you often, and thank you for your friendship. And rest in peace, bro. I'll see you at some point in the future, I would imagine, sooner than later. Who knows? But the Poseidon Adventure was the classic early 1970s Hollywood, Irwin, all the same guys. All the same guys had all the money, and this thing had 4 or 5 Academy Award winning actors. Gene Hackman.
Great movie.
Gene Hackman was unbelievable. Robert Kennedy, once again, Kennedy is in it. Leslie Nielsen is in it.
Famous Canadian.
He is famous Canadian, great actor. And Rodney McDowell is in it.
Carol Lindley, beautiful Carol. The unbelievable Stella Stevens had a mad crush on her.
Stella Stevens and Shelley Winters gained 45 pounds, and she said after this movie, I could not lose any of it, and that was the last time I was that thin.
And you know who else is in this movie? Pamela Sue Martin, who is Nancy Drew.
Right. I looked at the cast. There's a ton of old schoolers,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
But it's really, honest to God, it's like the movie's in 2 parts. The first part is everybody's character development, and they do it right, and it's really obvious, the set designs, and they used an actual real ship, and they spent some money, and it was, of course, we saw it in surround sound 70 millimeter, at all of the best theaters in downtown Vancouver, including the Stanley. I always mention the Stanley because the best sound, and I was right from the beginning. I was transfixed. I was like, my God, look how beautiful this ship is. That would be really cool to go on a world tour and all of this. And all of a sudden, the second half of the movie, is the ship is sinking. It goes upside down in survival.
You actually see people like falling from the floor.
The effects for 1972, the effects were unbelievable. The set design of when it flipped and they were in the atrium, the center atrium with all the chandeliers and everything. My God, man. I don't want to give anything away. If you guys are young enough that you haven't seen this film, make a huge thing of as much butter as you'd like, real butter.
You can hold up. I would watch it again in a heartbeat.
Oh my God, it's incredible. I've probably seen it 30, 40 times in my life. Seriously, Johnny.
Great choice. Okay, that's on my list too. Okay, I'm going to go with 19...
Sorry about that, bro.
Oh, no worries. There's always going to be overlap. I'm going to go back to 1977. One of my favorite actors in the 70s, George Segal, Richard Woodmark, Henry Fonda, who showed up in a lot of these movies. Roller Coaster, another movie that was shot in around. And just scrolling down a little bit here. I mean, this movie, when you saw it in a theater, you actually felt like you were on a roller coaster. This is not a movie for people who have motion sickness. And basically, this is about a terrorist who is sabotaging roller coasters. So that's my next choice.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was really good, and it reminds me every year at the P&E, the Pacific National Expedition in East Vancouver, on East Hastings, they had the old wooden roller coaster. And I've been on that hundreds and hundreds of times, and it's scary. It's scary the first time, and it's scary the 100th time.
It sure is.
The fact that thing hasn't gone off, and people just flying right into the Whitecap soccer field or something, it's like crazy.
I can't do that anymore, but I remember I would sit in the very front.
Oh yeah.
So, and it was absolutely thrilling.
Yeah. Were you a puker?
No.
No, I mean, okay, so that's it. That's an old school one. I'm going to go with, I kind of want to follow the old school vibe for a bit, because it's just something that really captures my imagination. I had to do a little deep dive in this because a lot of these movies I have not watched in a long time. But I think the next one I want to talk about is, I want to go with The Towering Inferno.
Oh, that's on my list too.
Yeah, sorry about that. We're the same age. I'm turning 62 and Johnny's like 61 or 61. I don't know, whatever. And so we grew up in the same time. And The Towering Inferno, of course, is a movie that, correct me if I'm wrong, they had to find the two biggest superstars in the world,
right,
or thereabouts, and have them find a way to make a movie together so they could get the most amount of money made, because the budget.
Pauly Newman, Steve McQueen, and apparently there was a lot of bickering over who's going to get top billing.
So so you know who the two actors were that we're talking about, right?
Well, Pauly Newman and Steve McQueen, the two
right.
top.
So Paul Newman thought he was the top, but Steve McQueen always thought he was the top. So, but Paul Newman was bigger at that time. Steve McQueen was he was getting there. Anyway, so they fought. They didn't like each other. They had a miserable working relationship, and it was a typical action. There's hardly any CGI whatsoever. It was all real action. They spent a ton of money, and they pulled it off, and I thought they did a good job. And two of my favorite actors at the time were Steve McQueen and Paul Newman, so I was in the right frame as a 7-year-old kid looking at first of all, after that movie, Johnny, I would never go into a building like the 9/11, like the Twin Towers, or the highest I've ever been is the Seattle Pacific Tower there.
Okay.
Space Needle in Seattle.
Revolving restaurant.
Yeah, and I think it's like, I don't know, 1,000 meters in the sky, whatever that is, 2,500 square feet. Honest to God, and they had a resin plastic floor that looked like you could just fall down. I went to the washroom and I grabbed an elevator, and as I was waiting for the elevator, I felt a slight wobble in the Space Needle.
Oh, no.
Pacific Northwest, the Cascadia Range. We're doing disaster movies, Johnny.
Right.
I swear to God, I almost peed myself. It's a good thing I went to the washroom, because I wouldn't have made it down. And because I felt, and when you're that high and you feel...
You felt a vertigo.
Dude, I thought I was going to empty the whole system. I was so scared. And running down, like 2,500, that's like 150 floors. I could do it. I could do that scared shitless, but I'm sure I wouldn't be the only one. Anyways,
Adrenaline help.
that movie I thought really captured the imagination of being in a very tall structure and having only 4 exits.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, great cast. William Holden, Faye Dunaway, Fred Astaire, Susan Blakely, Richard Chamberlain. One of my favorite actors of the 1970s, Robert Wagner. Remember It Takes a Thief?
Oh, yeah.
Alexander Mundy, a super charismatic actor. Gregory Sierra, who was on Barney Miller, and the legend Dabney Coleman, one of the greatest character actors of all time.
Yeah, he was great. He was very good. Absolutely. And thanks for that. And of course, I did steal it again. So I like to get them in early because I know Johnny and I are there's going to be a lot of crossover. Johnny, who do you got next?
Okay, I'm going to go in a slightly different direction. As we talked about here, disaster movies there are subgenres, and this one is more of an eco-disaster movie. The 1977 B-grade classic starring our favorite Canadian, William Shatner, Kingdom of the Spiders. The movie centers on a rural town in Camp Verde, Arizona, which lies in the migration path of a horde of tarantulas. Is there any more terrifying phrase in the English language than horde?
My wife will never watch this episode just because of what you just said.
And you know how a lot of movies like the end with like no animals were harmed during the production of this movie. Well, a lot of arachnids were harmed. during the production.
You feel that you've got to disclose that in this episode?
Oh man, they use live tarantulas. They become aggressive due to
how big were they, by the way? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, they were like fist-sized. They were like Goliath spiders. The pesticides having depleted their normal food sources. I saw this movie, The Capital 6, with a bunch of kids, and I've never heard so much screaming in a movie theater.
Yeah, like, spiders will do that to you, man.
I mean, I could barely hear the dialogue because there's just so many people screaming constantly. You're gonna see where William Shatner, he goes in a dark basement, he turns on a light bulb, and it's just wall-to-wall tarantulas.
Oh, I remember that scene. That freaked me out, man.
Like,
that reminded me of my basement in Belfour Rentals.
Oh dear.
With the wolf spiders? Oh my God, bro.
Any amount of money to do that. And then there's another classic scene where, oh God, it's kind of ironic in a way. They hire a crop duster to dust the tarantula hills or the spider hills. And of course, he's flying around, he's dropping spray. Yeah. Well, the spiders are inside the cockpit.
Okay.
And they're crawling all
no spoiler remarks. I mean, people haven't seen. This is a B-grade movie. Let's move on. No, I can see you enjoyed it, so that's important. And appreciate your candor and your energy and your emotion.
When I walked home from the theater, I remember walking along 4th Avenue, and it was windy, and like a maple leaf, like skittered across in front of me.
and you scared?
I just about pooped my pants. Literally, I still have an helmet.
God. That is just absolutely hilarious, and I totally get it, bro. I totally get it. It's just, and I'm just looking through my list, and I'm serious. Like, my God, how many disasters can there be in this world, right? It's like, holy crap. One that captures my imagination, is a type of disaster film that some might not look as a disaster film, depending on your race. I don't know. Would men look at it any different than women? Probably not. Is a movie with Clive Owen, who I really enjoy. At one time, they were talking about being 20, 25 years ago, being a James Bond replacement. And Clive Owen is very charismatic. He's a great actor, and he did this, I guess I want to call it a quasi-science fiction film. And it's a disaster film in that the entire world cannot regrow any new children because females cannot give birth because of a strange disease, a virus of some kind. And so the planet's dying slowly. And this movie is called The Children of Men.
Yeah, I saw the trailer.
And it's incredible. Clive Owen's amazing, and one of the best British actors, my favorite of all time, who is Sir. You know who I'm talking about?
I do. Oh yeah, sure.
Name, please.
Okay. Well, we're not on parallel tracks.
No, but the movie. I'm just saying, Michael Caine. Sir
yeah.
Michael Caine. He plays an aging hippie, and this young black lady is pregnant, and she's supposedly the only pregnant person in the entire world.
Oh, wow.
And so everybody's chasing her because they want to keep the planet alive, and they want to. And the film is amazing, and the character development, and it's a disaster film, and that the entire humanity could be wiped out because we cannot repopulate.
That's a very chilling premise.
I thought so. I've seen the movie 10 times. It's really incredible.
I heard it was great. Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, my next choice could be classified as a disaster movie or a chick flick, but I just think it's a great movie that really holds up. I'm going with 1997's Titanic, written and directed by fellow Canadian James Cameron. His first movie, by the way, was Battle Beyond the Stars. He actually did some of the special effects for that movie with Richard Thomas as the star, John Boy Walton. Based on the accounts of the sinking of RMS Titanic in 1912, Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet stars members of different social classes who fall in love during the ship's ill-fated maiden voyage. This is Bill Paxton, Danny Nucci, David Warner, who's probably a likable guy in real life, but he always played unsavory characters in movies. He was Jack the Ripper in Time After Time. I saw this movie in the theater. It was a sold-out audience, and you could just hear a pin drop like throughout the entire movie. It's just absolutely gripping from beginning to end, and the last hour is so haunting because it actually happened. And James Cameron went into exquisite detail.
Right. And so, but did he actually tell the real truth of what happened?
Well, I don't know. I guess I'd have to go into a time machine and go back and actually have the experience.
So, the conspiracy theory is, how did the Titanic sink? And I knew you were going to bring this up, and I was ready for this because I want to have some fun with this. Okay. And I think it's a brilliant movie. I was absolutely blown away.
Yeah.
And it was a profound movie. It was extremely, the cast and the set designs. I mean, it was the Poseidon Adventure by 1,000 times better.
Right.
But just totally different. Poseidon Adventure was his own thing in the 70s. Nobody had done it. It was phenomenal. And can you imagine holding your breath through 2.5 minutes in that environment and in order to survive?
And back in the day, I used to read The Hollywood Reporter, and I was reading about the production of this movie as it was being filmed. And they kept delaying, and James Cameron kept asking for more money. And it was supposed to come out at Christmas, and then it got delayed to summer. Yeah. And everyone was predicting that it was going to be the biggest bomb of all time. No. And of course, it became one of the most successful movies of all time. Yeah, well,
Cameron's got a knack for, doing...
Yeah, getting it done. Yeah. And when he was on stage, and he won the Oscar, and he said, "I'm king of the world," he got a lot of crap for that. I thought, you know what, pal? Good for you. You earned the right to say that. I think I don't agree with the old.
Listen, he might have had a few too many glasses of champagne, and he might have had a little Vegas lineage, and God bless him. He's a great actor, and I can hardly wait for his new movie that just came out, and I haven't seen it, and everyone's trying to pay. You're trying to get you to pay for it on all these services and so on, but whatever.
Did you ever watch Entourage? Did you ever watch that show?
Oh my God! I've watched it. I've watched it twice from beginning to end, both every episode. It was really well done, man.
Yeah, I loved it. I was a huge Entourage fan. I had all the DVDs.
Do you know who was one of the actors in that too? Is one guy that we like, Peter Berg.
Oh yeah.
He did a lot of episodes, man.
And Ralph Macchio was in one episode.
Yeah.
You remember the drama on him?
Yeah.
Ralph Macchio started to do the crane.
Oh
kick.
my God.
I was like losing his mind. But James Cameron played himself on that show, and he was very funny. He was very good on camera.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. So I want to talk about a different disaster film because I'm trying to hit all the different types of disaster films and pick my favorite from that because I'm more passionate about ones that really I just can't get out of my mind. And this movie is, I simply cannot get it out of my mind. And I've tried to, but it doesn't, no, it's so good. I thought it was so cheesy. And then when I got through the movie, in the beginning, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a big pile of shite." Pardon me. And it was the movie's called The Day After Tomorrow.
Oh.
And it was huge budget, and Dennis Quaid, who I really like, and John Cusack, and they had a really good cast of lots of different people who've been around for a long time. Right. And the CGI was like really good. And the story was absolutely potentially believable. Like a nuclear war, a nuclear winter, and then the aftermath of how the planet reacts to a nuclear winter, and then the world freezing, and then pollution. I mean, my God, it was right from the start. It was like I felt like I was driving in a car going to the theater of the movie, and I was getting closer to the theater, but the movie already started.
Oh, whoops a daisy. Well, it's always 8 million commercials anyway.
No, what I meant was I was captivated for the first the first 35, 40-minute build-up, character development, and then the onslaught.
The payoff.
Of 90-plus minutes of just unbelievable disaster awesomeness.
That was Roland Emmerich, I believe, the master.
Thank you. Yes. Very, very good. Very, very good director. He's done quite a few big budget films, and he really knocked out of the park in this one. I love it.
Sweet. Great choice. Okay, I'm going to go with 1996's Twister, directed by one of my favorite directors, Jan de Bont, who also did Speed. He was a co-writer on the original Die Hard. Written by Michael Crichton. Wow.
I've read a lot of Crichton stuff.
Yeah. Right? Jurassic Park and The Lost World, and on and on. It was produced by Crichton, Kathleen Kennedy. Steven Spielberg was also one of the producers. The stars include Helen Hunt, Bill Paxton, who was also in Titanic, Jamie Gertz, and Carrie Elwes, who you remember from The Princess Bride. It follows a group of storm chasers trying to deploy a tornado research device during a severe outbreak in Oklahoma. I think I was deaf for about 3 days after watching this movie. It was really loud. Yeah. And it had one of the most iconic scenes of all time, where they're trying to evade one of the many twisters in the film, and you actually see a cow flying across.
Oh man, I'll never forget that. I thought for a moment it was like watching a Monty Python.
It was something weirdly macabre.
Like Terry Gilliam sort of acid trip.
Animation, exactly, right? Like the Yellow Submarine. Like something that Ringo Starr.
I love it. Oh, no. Well, Ringo's sober now, but yeah, maybe back then. I don't know.
There was a sequel in 2024 called Twisters, which I know absolutely nothing about. I saw Twister the one time.
I saw it. And do you know who's the big actor, the lead in Twister?
Bill Paxton.
Well, he's the main lead, and then you've got his sugarcoat buddy.
Right.
What was the Kevin Bacon?
Oh, he's in that?
Yeah.
Tremors. You think of Tremors?
Oh, Tremors. Sorry. Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. Nice. You caught me. My bad.
That's kind of another disaster movie too, but that's a really fun movie.
I mean, that's why that was my comment at the beginning of the show is my God, disaster could be like my next movie pick.
That's the one with the giant worms. Underground.
Under like Dune.
That movie has
smaller.
Really fun, sort of tongue-in-cheek sense.
That was pretty good. And they had Fred
Ward.
Fred Ward. Remember Fred Ward? Holy.
Awesome. The Right Stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man. Great actor.
Yeah, it was good. That was good.
Cheers. What's your next pick?
Well, nice choice. Nice choice. Way to keep this moving along. I was going to go, but I want to go, again, a different type of disaster film. And this is, for me, one of the most ultimate disaster films. If there could be a worse... There are many worse disaster films, but this is really tough. This one's hard to take. And it's been done a couple of times. This one was... the movie was called Alive in 1993.
Oh, I didn't see it. Oh.
and they did a remake of it years later, which is a really good attempt. I believe it's a European remake, and it's either South American but it's amazing. And anyways, this movie, when I was acting in Vancouver in the early 90s before I played professional basketball, a bunch of guys in my acting classes and my agencies I was with were in this movie. And Alive is a true story, a very tragic disaster film that is catastrophic disaster film. but I don't want to say and undermine it by saying just only one plane of 100 people, and that's a disaster. Well, it is. It's a disaster film. It's horrific, and they were overloaded. They were a Chilean soccer team, and they were overloaded, and they were going over the Andes in bad weather, and they had too much weight. And none of the soccer players, they thought they're going to be back on a tournament and back home. And nobody dressed for the weather. Nobody planned for the most unbelievable, violent airplane, the way they filmed it, and both in the original, which was filmed in Vancouver, by the way, locally. And I actually read for a part in that. I didn't get it, but a lot of guys in my acting class did. And David Cubid was one of the leads, and he's had a long and great career. He was one of many, and there's a few others. And they crash in the Andes, and the plane splits in two different pieces at different areas, and the weather is terrible, and bodies were just flying everywhere. Oh, yeah. And they didn't have sweaters, they didn't have proper gear, they didn't have food, they didn't have water. They were stuck in a situation that was horrific. And because the plane broke up in two parts, there was a front end of the plane and the back end of the plane, and there's people still alive in both, and then scattered bodies throughout. And their survival and how two of them eventually found the way to get out, to find, involved some of the most unbelievably difficult scenes or imaginations.
Actually, I did see this movie, and I remember it made me nauseous.
Well, it would make a lot of people nauseous, but if you're hungry, all things just get better if you can somehow work around it. And so at the end of the day, without giving it too much away, there was a number of survivors. It was an absolutely tragic, sad story, but it's a story of disaster survival. Right. And resilience. But, when cannibalism comes into the effect, a lot of people, they start to lose the affinity for wow, what a beautiful story. And they're eating their friends or their wife or their brother.
Yeah, I can imagine some people would be a little judgmental about that.
Dude, it was, honestly, for a disaster film, I was like, my God. For me, the fact that the people survived it, that was my journey. Watching how these people survived, because it was impossible, bro.
Survival is part of our DNA. One just popped into my head now. I want to briefly touch upon. It's called Arctic with Mads Mikkelsen. Have you seen this movie? It's called Arctic.
Sorry, which one?
It's called Arctic.
Oh, I've seen it 4 or 5 times. I love it.
It's absolutely one of the most inspiring movies about a
really good. And by the way, what a great actor, eh, Mads?
And I would watch it again, heartbeat. Okay, now that movie was not in my list, but you just reminded me of it.
Yeah, this is the beauty of the show, right?
Flowing, like jazz music. Okay, I'm going to go with 1998's Armageddon, which has one of the classic lines of dialogue of all time. That's my father up there! An American science fiction disaster film directed by Michael Bay, of the Transformers fame, co-produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, who did everything this guy touches turns to gold. The film follows a group of blue-collar...
During his stage, he dominated.
I mean, Top Gun, Days of Thunder, Pirates of the Caribbean, on and on.
My God, eh?
Blue-collar deep-core drillers sent by NASA to destroy a giant asteroid. I watched some of this movie on Tubi the other day to prepare for the podcast. And this movie grabs you by the throat.
Yeah.
I mean, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. It was actually, I enjoyed it more on the second viewing. A gigantic asteroid, which is the size of Texas. I'm kind of worried about the future of the planet because I had a theory that the reason asteroids have been missing Earth for so many years is because of Chuck Norris. Well, now Chuck's no longer with us, so I'm a little concerned about the future of the world. In any event.
By the way, we are doing our Chuck Norris tribute video. Episode 68 is going to be coming out in the next 48 hours.
Oh, very good. Well, I look forward to watching that. This asteroid is the size of Texas, and it's on a collision course with Earth. This movie has a great ensemble cast. Bruce Willis, Billy Bob Thornton, who showed up in every movie in the 90s and early 2000s. Liv Tyler, Ben Affleck omnipresent, Will Patton, and many others. Owen Wilson, Steve Buscemi is very funny in this film. I watched about half an hour of this. J.J. Abrams is one of the screenwriters.
Once again, I love his work.
Yeah, me too. Gail Ann Hurd, who was married to James Cameron. This movie it's just really eye-popping visuals from beginning to end, and it's kind of like the Dirty Dozen. A bunch of scruffy men who sort of have unsavory backgrounds, who are given a chance.
Who are murderers,
Yeah.
rapists,
But I mean,
assassins.
what better way to redeem yourself than to save the world? It's a great film.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. I really do. And again, it's interesting how Johnny and I at Pauly and Johnny's Cinema Flicks review series, which I believe is our 10th episode now. And this is our favorite disaster attacks. Favorite disaster movie flicks.
Okay to panic.
Global. And my next one, I want to go to a different, once again, because I'm flowing on this different type of disaster, and I'm imagining myself waking up in a hospital and naked in a suit covered in blood and sweat and who knows what else. Somebody's locked my door so nobody can access it, and I have no memory of why I'm in this hospital. I have no idea where I'm at. And I look in the mirror and half of my head is shaved and there's a huge scar on my head. And I find on the nightstand next to my bed a wallet with an ID, and it says that I was a bike courier.
I know where you're going with this.
And this movie is, in my opinion, probably one of my favorite. I would say for sure it's my favorite virus, disaster, zombie film, if you will. And if I had to pick a disaster to survive in, I had a choice, which of course you wouldn't, because, it's a disaster, right? I mean, is there a better choice for a disaster? Maybe, if you have lots of weapons and a place to hide and defend yourself. But 28 days later is when I saw it, and the legendary camera work when they used an iPhone 13, I think, or 12.
Rage virus.
The rage virus, exactly. And the writers and directors, they're bringing their legacy on of 28 days or 28 years later, and then of course the Triquel, where two of them have been released. One is weird, and the second one's weirder.
There's someone, Bone Temple?
Yeah, Bone Temple's the second one. And it's really dark and kind of horrific, and it's just not. But Cillian Murphy, who is the great Irish actor who's the lead, and is the bike courier who wakes up and starts to piece together why he is stuck in one of the most expensive areas of London, in one of the most expensive hospitals, but there's no one there. And the hospital's in chaos. The streets are empty.
Yeah.
And there's signs in Leicestershire Square. There's signs and photos of thousands and thousands of people with notes saying, "Please, my husband Bob, I haven't seen him in 2 weeks. If you've seen him, please tell me I'm at the flat at this address." And of course, unbeknownst to this courier, Cillian Murphy, who does an amazing job.
He's great.
And the movie just unfolds, and it's like if there's a perfect cinematic masterpiece of every single stylized genre,
Yeah.
this would be the best I've seen.
Yeah.
And I've seen thousands.
And everyone talks about Heath Ledger as the Joker in the Batman movies, and I agree 100%. He's absolutely fantastic. But I think Cillian Murphy, he as the Scarecrow, as Dr. Jonathan Crane, aka the Scarecrow, I think he's my favorite Batman villain. There's just something so creepy about him.
He is just such a great actor, and he's he's charismatic. He's handsome. The camera loves him, and he just captures when you look at his eyes, and you try to figure out how to enunciate his name. Everything's a mystery.
Yeah, some actors have that sort of natural magnetism. Okay,
Yeah.
I have four on my list, and then I think I'm done. We're coming up in 45 minutes, brother. I'm going to go with another Roland Emmerich classic, The Master of Disaster Porn, 2012. 2009, pardon me, 2012. An epic apocalyptic disaster movie starring John Cusack, Amanda Peet, Oliver Platt,
Yeah.
Danny Glover, who was Murtaugh in the Lethal Weapon movies, and Woody Harrelson from Cheers. Based on the 2012 phenomenon, all my life I've been hearing predictions of the end of the world, but 2012 was supposed to be the for real year. I mean, this is going to happen 100%.
You're talking about the movie 2012?
Well, the 2012, and it's kind of the the
Yeah,
mythology,
I had that one too, bro.
Mayan prophecies. So anyway, the plot.
It was a good movie, man.
Yeah, it was. It was really fun. Numerous characters, including novelist Jackson Curtis and geologist Adrian Hemsley, as they struggle to survive a sequence of events, including earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, not just regular tsunamis, mega tsunamis.
Yeah.
I think tsunamis are already pretty mega. And
Yeah.
if that's not enough, for cherry on top, a global flood. I mean, this movie has everything but the kitchen sink. Actually, I think there is an actual shot of the kitchen sink flying through the air, if I recall. They probably put that in there intentionally.
That's funny.
This movie is really worth watching, and I saw it in the theater back in the day, and I was not bored for a second. 2012.
Yeah, I mean, a great film. And I'm just trying to think I've just got one more just to finish everything up, and I've got so many to pick from, but I'm just trying to think, anytime you put Steven Spielberg in a movie, and it's the title of the movie is War of the Worlds.
Oh, yeah.
And then you take someone that is an A-list plus action superstar that everybody seems to absolutely love, including yourself. I wouldn't be surprised if you had a matching, chiffon outfit with Tom Cruise embroidered on it under your Canadian outfit. But I wouldn't tell anyone if that was true. But honestly, I do like Steven Spielberg. I do like his craft. I like his discipline. He's an excellent director, writer, producer, and everybody loves him. And Tom Cruise, the same thing. Everybody loves him. Not one of my favorite actors, but I have to admit there are a few movies that he's a really good actor, and he's very charismatic, and I get it.
Is good at every aspect of directing, but I think one of the reasons his movies are so universally loved is he really nails families. He really knows how to present like the mom and the dad and the kids, and they all have distinct personalities, and they all have their issues, and they love each other, and they bicker. Like he does that to, like I also feel that he just does that to an absolute T, and that's why we like his movies, and we believe all these crazy, supernatural or otherworldly situations because we like the characters so much and root them. I think the first hour of this movie is exquisite. It's vintage Spielberg. It just grabs you. But the second hour for me, I don't want to be negative too much. When they introduce the Tim Robbins character, I feel the movie goes south a little bit. What do you think?
They ran out of gas, and the fourth quarter just didn't give you anything that could have been a next movie, or it left you flat, you know, and which is unusual with the amount of talent involved. Where the opposite movie, that Oblivion, that I saw with Tom Cruise, actually started off really flat, and I was like, oh my God, where are they going with this? And within 15 minutes, I've lost track of the time and the movie. And then that final scene when he finds out what his real life is, if you will, without, and is absolutely catastrophic.
Right.
And I was brought into something I didn't know about. I was captivated, brought me to heights, some of the best filmmaking, acting, writing, effects, everything. Yeah. And then this whole whirlwind, and that just threw me out a window at the end and said, good luck, bro. Hope you land well.
You know what I love about War of the Worlds, just to be sort of nerdy, super nerdy? I love the sound that the tripods make. It was like a ship's horn. And when you heard that noise, you knew they were coming. I was like, oh my God, run!
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, that's a good point. That's a good point. And it just shows you the violence of volume, right? There's so many ways to create violence. Yeah. And oh my God, that's incredible. So we're at the end of our show. We could probably go on for another hour, but thank you for joining us. We're doing this is sort of a continuation of our last episode that is playing right now and has done well. Please check it out. And Alien Attacks is really fun, and there's some great films in there. And of course, this one's going to be released after in the next couple of days. We've got a tribute. A celebration of one of the greatest martial arts and Hollywood actors and good guys in the history of film, Mr. Chuck Norris. Well-deserved, and we did an episode last week, and we're excited about. I just finished the thumbnail, John. It looks amazing. It's fun, and but in the meantime, Johnny is a prolific writer. And he's going to give you just a brief breakdown of where you can, his Facebook page, where you can look at and read some of his incredible craft and his writing skills. In the meantime, he's going to give you a brief synopsis of, excuse me, what book is this, Johnny? What are we doing here?
Well, if you're watching the show for the first time, welcome aboard. I'm a self-published author. I have a series of detective stories about a man named Lee Hacklin. My stories are set primarily in the 1970s. He lives in New York City. He's in his mid-20s. He looks like Jan Michael Vincent. He's a smoker, a drinker. He's a ladies' man, and he likes to help people. Has a heart of gold, and he's absolutely ruthless at dishing out summary justice. Okay, my latest Lee Hacklin, which I started the other day, is called Special Guest Starstruck. Here we go, Chapter 1. New York City, 1978. Larry Luger's front lawn had more signs than a Las Vegas boulevard. No trespassing. Beware of dog. Stay off the lawn. It's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Death camps for Democrats. Nuke Israel. Hitler was right. Oh my God. I carefully walked up the cinder block stairs of a ramshackle house in Mott Haven. The sky was darkening. I was the only soul in sight. I felt exposed and vulnerable, like the Omega Man. Larry had a rap sheet a mile long.
I like that.
Thank you. Why do some people choose a life of crime over civility? It's because they don't pay attention to what's beautiful about life. All they see is the darkness. And they take it for granted that everyone's out to get them. It's a living hell. I rang his doorbell. It buzzed like an angry hornet. I was conscious of Mr. Browning under my armpit. You won't be there for long, pal. Pesos to pecans. The door creaked open and the barrel of a Winchester extended towards me. I'm counting to 3. That's my favorite number. It's magic. On 3, you meet Jesus. Can't you read? And what's with that hair? I can't hardly tell if you're a boy or a girl. Mr. Luger, I'm Lee Hacklin. When I'm not rescuing cats from trees or catching airplanes struck by lightning, I'm a private investigator. You're 3 months behind on your alimony and child care payments. If there's a photo next to deadbeat in Webster's dictionary, it's yours. That hose bag took my boy and left me high and dry. She don't get 1 red cent from me. 1. I grabbed the barrel, stuck my foot inside the door, and pushed it open. He fired. The shot stung my ear. Close calls are a daily occurrence for me, occupational hazard. With my other hand, I drew my Browning, spun it, in case you don't know where Browning is, a gun, handgun. Spun it around and...
Browning is not just a gun. My grandfather owned a Browning, and it's also called the 911. It's one of the most amazing guns in the history of handguns.
Oh, interesting. Okay, Larry was 50 and shaped like pudding. He was buck naked, save for chaps and suspenders. He fell on his big behind, and I kicked his bare balls in. I'm flat broke. I lost my job, and the infernal revenue slaughterhouse robbed me blind. Uh-huh. And your dog's name is Lucky. I espied a wallet.
That's not funny.
I espied a wallet on his coffee table. Next to it were several crusty issues of Penthouse magazine. I had to squash down an urge to puke.
I love it.
There was a wad of cold cash inside the wallet. I took it out, counted it, and slid it into my own. $800. This is going to the mother of your son, super dad. Thief! That's my casino winnings. Larry, you will always be a loser until you start to bet on yourself. I'm not holding my breath. And that's chapter 1.
And that's chapter 1, and that's magic. And thank you for that, Johnny. And for those that listen to the creative writing of Mr. John Leister, and this fascinating character, is listen to the life lessons. It helps to hear and listen in order to absorb, regardless of your situation.
I try to incorporate a little bit of Anthony Robbins into everything I write. A little bit of self-help, but some homeschool advice. I think it's worth doing.
on a positive note, as we've
doing therapy as well.
And therapy is needed because we do a health series on therapy, and Aaron Solly, who is on our show, has invited us to a workshop on how to write down one's issues with one's life and attempting to deal with anger and how that affects one's life in so many different ways. And we will continue to evolve and find ourselves interested in these things. And any single time you find that you need some help out there, folks, there is help out there. And you just got to find the right people to reach out to and feel comfortable in that environment to explore how you can recreate and reinvent your own personal blueprint.
Paul and I are living proof that it's not too late.
No, never. It's never too late. And it's only too late if you never do it.
Right.
And so with that being said, thank you kindly for joining us here. My name is Paul Bale. I'm the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show. And you've already been obviously captivated and fascinated by my exceptionally talented and extremely charismatic, shameless promoter.
Second only to you, brother.
In himself, Mr. Johnny Leister, the co-host with the most at the Canadian Bro Show. In the meantime, this is episode, I've lost track, episode 69? 70? No, 69, 68? Anyways, it's a continuation of all of what we've been trying to do, and we're trying to all bring it together and give you creative content if you really enjoy these type of episodes. This is episode 70, Disaster Attacks. And the reason why we chose that, disaster attacks, is there's so many different types. And the big question is, what is your favorite global disaster? And how would that affect your lives? Comment, like, and share, and subscribe. Enjoy the Canadian Bro Show podcast at the Canadian Bro Show. We are going to be finishing off, Johnny. And
I have a pun.
Oh my God, Johnny likes to finish and suck up every vacuum of airtime possibly available before the episode. We always save it for the end because the people that are very interested or have no life are going to listen to Johnny's favorite pun of the moment.
All of our viewers have a life, otherwise they would be watching the show. Okay, here we go. I've been to a lot of places, but I've never been in cahoots. Apparently you can't go alone. You have to be in cahoots with someone. I've also never been incognito either. I hear no one recognizes you there. I have, however, been insane. They don't have an airport. You have to be driven there. I've made several trips.
That is excellent, bro. That's one of the best ones. Thank you. That was good. Everybody, I'm taking Johnny out of the scene. I'm taking myself shortly thereafter for a second, and I'm going to add our subscribe button and the beautiful landscape that you see in the back of the two very, I mean, seriously, have you ever seen more handsome 60-year-old chaps? Come on, man. There's not a lot of us out there that are 60 and can still pull this off. But in the meantime, I want you to check out, this is about 10 floors above where I live in downtown Vancouver when I'm there, in the neighborhood of Crosstown, downtown West. And Johnny, thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Peace, love, and happiness, bro. Take care. And I'm going to drop myself out of this, and I want you to just take a look at this amazing photo of I'm a real estate agent. I've been in real estate for about 23 years. I'm with Orca Realty Incorporated, both in Kelowna and Vancouver. And this photo was taken from one of my listings in the building that I live in. I think I've sold 27 units in that building, and the photographer had this drone, and he said, "Hey, let's go take some footage." And I'm like, "My God, man, that is absolutely amazing." And so I bought the rights to be able to show this because it's so beautiful. This is downtown Vancouver, and I just want to say thank you to everybody. I'm leaving right now. Enjoy Vancouver and the beauty that is one of the greatest, if not the greatest city in the world. Thanks for joining us here at the Canadian Bro Show. My name is Paul Bale, founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show. Thanks again for joining me. Take care. We'll see you next episode.